Ashley, let's talk about the formulating of the idea of being on Extracted, right? Where did the idea come from? How did you apply? What kind of made you pull that trigger and say, "This is something I really want to do"?
Okay, so it was not originally me. Austin actually applied and just basically called Scott and I, and he was like, "Hey, we're going to be on a show. I'm going to be in the wild, and you guys are going to be at headquarters. Y'all are going to be like my lifeline." And I was like, "Sweet, that sounds awesome. I am so down for that." And then the first interview happened, and they were like, "Oh, Austin, you are way overqualified. It has to be the most vulnerable person in your team." And I was like, "Oh, that's me. Okay, lovely." So it took a while for me to get used to the idea, but that was it. And then I started getting excited. It was like, "Ooh, okay, this is cool. Once in a lifetime, opportunity, definitely."
Absolutely. Yeah. Scott, to you, I guess the question here is this, right? What is Austin does have the background. Maybe you have a little bit of a background as well. What's the preparation process like to maybe prepare Ashley for some of these elements that she may or may not face?
Well, once we found out we were going to be on the show, we got it in high gear. And Austin's a survivalist, man. He's this is what he does. He's a guide. He's walked the Appalachian Trail. He can do it. It's kind of how I raised him to be in the wild a little bit and enjoy the outdoors. And he got on it right away. We taught her fishing, more fishing stuff. We taught her knot tying, shelter building, fire making. Of course, we're in Texas and it's real dry here and it's a little wet up there, so it's a big difference. But we did the best we could in the time frame that we had, and she did a great job at that.
Yeah, for sure. And then I want to follow it up. What's the conversation like about the extraction button? Like, are we saying, "Hey, look," and I know we see a little bit of that. We see a little bit of the conversation between you guys, the expectations of when to pull the plug, when not to pull the plug, and stuff like that. But what's that conversation amongst the three of you? Obviously, Ashley, you are in the thick of it. But what's that conversation like for you guys setting that entire process up?
I
Well,
told them to not extract me. That was my plan. Don't extract me no matter what. Like, I'm going to tough it out. I have perseverance. I can push through. I've been through so much. I could do this. It's only a limited amount of time. It's only temporary. That's what I kept saying.
Yes, and Scott, for you, what was that? What was your process like before going on to the show? Not obviously during the process.
well, we talked about it as a team, and we prepared us how mentally challenging this is going to be. And we said if you ask for extraction, we're going to wait a day, and give you a day and see how you go, how it's going out there. And that was the plan going in, right? That we had for her, and we stuck with it pretty much. Pretty much the whole time she was there. She had her ups and downs. Mornings were real tough for her, but once she got up and got going, she was better in a better frame of mind. And we kept hoping and praying that she would fight through it on that day. We had to extract her.
For sure. Ashley, let's go what's going through your mind day one, right? You know what I mean? The and excitement has settled in, the nervousness might have settled in. What's going through your mind day one, maybe even like minute one, two, three, four, in those first maybe couple hours of being on the show and then being in that element?
In all honesty, I was dropped about an hour and a half before sunset. So my mind was, okay, find camp, find something to make some kind of something out of. Like, I have to find a way to cover myself because all I had were the clothes on my back, a rain jacket, and a canteen of water. So it was like I was just looking for downed branches, like at that point, just to kind of make a makeshift blanket. I wasn't really, I don't know, for some reason I wasn't scared of the animals. Now, once darkness came, I was a little freaked out. I kept feeling like I didn't really sleep that first night. I kept feeling like I was having panic attacks, and I was like, we had to sync our watches every so often so that they could watch our health status. And I just kept syncing that bad boy. I was like, my heart rate is not okay. I know there's something wrong. So if somebody's watching, please pull me out if I need to. Like, I was kind of freaking out throughout the night. It had a lot of anxiety, but like Scott said, mornings were rough. That first morning was really rough. That was the morning that I almost had a panic attack. And I was like, I'm trying not to freak out here. And then I made it to the water and it just calmed me down. The peace came over me. So it was amazing.
Yeah, Scott, to you, watching it from a point of view from the viewer, you're watching kind of the battle and watching obviously someone you care about suffer in some aspects, right? What's it like in that headquarters? What's kind of going through the minds? What's the conversations amongst everybody that you're trying to maybe take your mind a little bit off of Ashley's struggles, but also trying to focus on the strategy part of the game, which kind of really does come into play as each day goes by.
Well, we kind of got in a rhythm on how she was reacting every day. In the mornings were always tough for her. She was crying a little bit and struggling a little bit. But once she got up and got moving, everything was good, like she said. So we kind of started basing everything off of that. Her mornings we knew would be tough because nighttime is tough out there if you haven't been out in the wild like that. And once she got up and going, she was really good. So we kept watching it, kept watching it, and trying to provide her with stuff that would to see how long she could make it out there. That was our goal from the beginning.
Yeah, Ashley, to you, we've seen Austin has kind of he's got a tough love about him. I'm sure I'm sure watching it back hasn't exactly been it's been an acquired taste for sure. He's facing some criticism from viewers, including myself. I'm not gonna lie here, but talk us through kind of seeing this kind of unfold, that conversation happening. What's the conversation like between you two? Maybe after watching it as well. No, and sorry, Austin, for not being here to defend yourself either. But you know what I mean?
You know what? He'd be laughing just like Scott. It's all good. He doesn't take offense to it. He's like, I'll take it. So first, I'll just say, when I first watched it, I know what I was going through mentally, and I was also beating myself up out there for my failures, what I saw as failures. So at first, I'd be like, is this really how it was? Like, are you being serious? You were beating me up and I was beating me up. This is not cool. And then I started really watching and paying attention. And I'm just going to say, blame it on the edit, most of it. But I will say he does that to himself. Like, when he's doing something, he's tough on himself. He expects a lot from himself. He also expects a lot from me because he knows I'm a badass. So he's like, I know she can do it. So, it was what it was. I didn't take offense. There were a couple things that I was like, you better be glad that I watched that by myself. But then I watched a little closer, and I saw, there were times where he started to say more and they would cut it off. And I know that there were some things spliced, but it's all for the drama. It's all for the TV. It is what it is.
For sure. Scott, to you, I think maybe, and I think the plus side of you being there, it was more of like a level-headedness to that aspect of things and being the level playing field for Austin to kind of really reel him in a little bit here and there. But to me, you make that call, right? You said, we're pulling her. What was that final straw for you to say, like, we've got to get her out of here?
Well, I got a directive from my wife before we left, and she said they're going to get married, so you pull her if she's in trouble. So it was a gut feeling. I knew she was done, and that was my call with him. He was almost there, but I pushed him over the edge and said, "Let's get her out of there."
Yeah, when you came home, you wanted to have a bed to sleep in too. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly, because the wedding was 2 weeks after the show, and I was like, they got to get married, or I'm in trouble."
My mother-in-law, she looks out for me. I can say that.
I like it. I like it a lot. Ashley, to you, looking back, do you think you would have done anything differently?
Yes, 100%. I would have used the toilet paper to start a fire. I wasn't thinking, I know why now he sent me toilet paper. I was thinking, oh, toilet paper, for the luxury of it. But I would have used that. There were things that I now know, because since we've come from off of the show, like we've already been hiking more and camping more and hunting more. Like, that adventure bug has taken hold. I'm like in it to win it now. I'm addicted. So I would do more with the fire, and I would have eaten. I was stockpiling food. Like, I had a can of beans, a can of peaches, and a little package of nuts. But I was hoarding those because I hadn't made fire yet. So I would have eaten everything that I had in reserve just to try to replenish the calories and the energy that I spent. That last day, that hunt that I was there, the day of the hunt, I should say, I didn't eat any food at all. And I think they told me I had actually hiked about 7 miles.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, watching it, it was like, yeah. I mean, I definitely would have been more the guy that's inside the four walls instead of out in the wilderness there. But my final question to you, Ashley, is this: what's something that you learned about your time on being unextracted?
Like learned about myself.
Yeah? What about yourself? Yes.
How far I could push my body. Like I've fasted before for like 12 hours and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pass out. Oh my gosh, I feel so weak. And now I'm like, I can go days without eating. I'm fine. I can push myself. I'm stubborn. I'm strong-willed. I'm persistent, and I can persevere. I can survive. So that's the cool thing, is that I know I can survive.
I got something to add to that too. I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
take a quote. I'm going to take a quote from Ted Nugent. She's the queen of the forest. That's what she
Yes.
is.
Yes. I love it.
I love
Oh,
it.
and
I
I
love
proved my badassery. So there you go.
Right.
Made up a word.
it.
In the process.
Right.